Welcome back. It's 2025 and it's game on for us at Cloud Lighthouse and on the Ecosystem Show. You've only got Cloud Lighthouse staff today, but of course our friends Will Dorrington and Chris Huntingford will be back with us real soon. I feel like we're already halfway through the year. There's just been so much going on in the first 2 weeks. I feel like I'm absolutely smashed. I feel like my task list is 1,000,000 miles long, and it is exciting. It's exciting times.
At Microsoft, they already are halfway through the year. I mean,
Indeed they are, right? The FY, totally on point. What are the big changes that are happening in your guys' lives?
Anna?
Happy New Year, first of all. Everybody, Happy New Year. I hope everybody has an exceptional year. We are excited about a ton of things, changes in our personal lives and in technology. Biggest things in our personal life is, no, I am not pregnant. But we're moving to Spain.
For anyone who tunes into this show because that's what you want to know.
There's a big change, but I am not pregnant. We're moving to Spain though. We're gonna have probably sangria every day. We're gonna go to the beach a lot. We're gonna try and tune into the Spanish culture. We're gonna learn Spanish. We're gonna put our child into a Spanish school, and let's hope we survive it. We're already having some difficulties with, some things. So let's see.
I love it. And Valencia is the location of choice. What a beautiful city.
Gorgeous city. Oh, the difficulties are the fact that, everybody is so happy here and relaxed, and I understand why. Kids finish school at 4:30. So that's the thing that we're going to have difficulties with.
Yeah. I want to see you guys having your siestas, right? You're going to have your siestas. That's very Spanish, right? In the heat of the day.
And it's a whole thing. Like, you're not allowed to go visit between 1 and 3 because it's siesta time. It's so amazing. It's beautiful. We eat better. I feel like we look younger.
Not yet for me. I'm still working on it, but Anna's making good progress. Yeah, we went today so we have Anna's mother, who is in town here, helping us with our daughter Alexandra, and Anna and I today's activity was going to visit potential nurseries or guarderías so that we can enroll Alexandra, and we turned up to one of them today, and she told us. The woman there said that they close at 4:30, and I was like, "You close at what? Huh?" Like 4:30 is when the Americans are waking up, and in my business, 4:30 Spain time is like the worst time of the day for school to be over. So we're hoping to get at least something that goes until 5, 6 would be ideal.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
So you're loving
everyone
it.
who has been following our lives.
Nice.
How about you? What's changing for you, Mark?
Oh, mate, hard work. As in, well, I don't know. It's just like, I just feel like 2025 is an explosion of an opportunity. There's, I feel like we're really getting down to, in the AI space particularly, a much higher degree of practicality, right? Organizations, they've seen the hype, they've seen the marketing, and now we're moving into, let's bed this down. How do we create frameworks to operate inside our organizations? We can't just have people just randomly building bits and pieces. It really needs to be a key cohesive pattern of behaviors that is going to drive success. And so it seems that every project I'm on at the moment, this is becoming a much more prevalent thing in the thinking, particularly of executives in organizations. They want to use the sound principles of the past and really apply them to maximize the innovation they can do on or with AI.
Yeah. I think that 2025 for me, and I think for a lot of people, even if they don't realize it yet, is the year of trustworthy AI, Though really interestingly to me, I still see many, many, many organizations that are not taking trustworthy AI or what they, I think of as responsible AI seriously. Still a lot of development teams that are trying to deploy solutions, scenarios, use cases, workloads, whatever you want to call it, without having accounted for how to make that AI trustworthy and reliable, safe, etc. But I think, and maybe we can debate or can talk this through on this episode. But I think that 2025, among many things, really must be the year of trustworthy AI.
Yeah. And I like that concept. Trustworthy AI is not about compliance. So it's a dimension of it, right? But it's around creating AI that literally the people that use it can trust that everything has been thought about to make this safe, usable, reliable, accurate as possible, and an enabler, right, for the organization.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about just making sure that it is, not hallucinating off the Richter scale, not doing unethical things. That's a component of it. Or a dimension of it, but it's so much more. It's everything from your governance layer, your strategy, right on through to your AI ops model for the organization.
Yeah, I think that's so true, and people are taking it seriously, like you guys said, and I would say not just executives, but also professionals of any sort. I was chatting with Andrew today because that I had a catch up with one of my friends. She is head of UX at a big company, a global company, and she was saying, I've stopped hiring people who come to me with this huge perfect expertise in like Figma. I'm a Figma god. I'm gonna create the best design for you. She's like, I don't care, like we are not pixel pushers anymore. And these were her words. She's like, I want somebody who understands that we as user experience people need to create a reality where people get their results grounded in data without a UI. We need to be the first ones to eliminate the app and the screen. And I thought that was, that's revolutionary for somebody who leads teams of designers, to say, do you know what? Reality right now is that we need to trust our data first and foremost. That's what it is.
I mean, Anna, you and I only hang out with professional and expert people who are into making bold statements like the head of UX who wants to get rid of UI, or our friend Mark here, who famously got up at a Dynamics conference and said at the beginning of his session that D365 is dead. Microsoft folks in the audience, D365 is not dead. Mark is just a sayer of incendiary things. But
here's
yes.
the thing, right?
Anna and I have a type.
Check out the sound bites there. Pixel pusher, right? Not pencil pusher, pixel pusher. I love that.
Yeah.
And there's a new thing out there, right? Pixel pushers are dead. No. We're not going to add that one. But here's the thing. I just want to riff on what Anna said then, because I was having a chat with a partner in Australia yesterday, and he was like, "So, is Dynamics going away? Is F&O going away? Is Power Platform going away? Is Power Automate going away?" And I said, "Well,
I want to be clear. No, it is like I'm going to get a call from Microsoft when this goes."
So here's the thing. I said you've got to look at it differently. I said all these tools are building blocks that facilitate data movement and business rules and logic within an organization. Traditionally, the only way we've interfaced with those, or most of the way, is through a form over that data set. We update the field,
Correct.
we get a report out, we do something with that information. I said, I believe in the next 5 years, that concept of us updating, and let's just say we take a contact record to keep it real simple. That contact record could be enriched all the time based on an agent that operates on it that's always searching out, do I have the most accurate data? You get a new email from that contact and they've changed their phone number. Well, it detects that change and says, oh, hello, is this an update to the phone number field? And it updates it for you. You don't have to go, oh, heck, I've got to go copy and paste that. And so you think of that, all those little data touch points in any engagement in an organization is constantly enriching your data set, not because you typed it in or you copied and pasted it in, but because it is picking and detecting that up and enriching it. So therefore, all of a sudden, the concept of a menu, do we need a menu anymore in applications? And because all of a sudden, the concept of navigating to something, the data exists, we've got APIs into it. Get me the answer I'm looking for. Or, hey, update this record. Tom, he's informed us he's actually Thomas. Well, I'm just going to say, hey, to my agent, can you update Thomas' record to Thomas? He prefers that I don't have to know where that field was in the system. It's potentially just going to go and update it. So I think these tools like Power Automate particularly is one I've thought about a lot. I think it's going to become massively AI infused, but do we think in 5 years' time, we're going to have consultants that in their title is the word Power Automate? I'm a Power Automate architect or creator? I don't know. I think AI will be doing so much more of it at that time.
We have a special guest on the podcast.
I think that I really want to introduce you to my friend, Mark. Like, honestly, that's exactly what she was saying. She was not saying we won't have UI for anything. She was just saying that some of the things are just so complex to implement, but so easy for AI to extract, manipulate, and use in our day-to-day lives. That is just that efficiency can be done without the UI. That's all she was saying. So spot on. Hello, Little.
I think there's this concept that we will have output devices or surfaces. And what I mean by that, it could be a digital screen on a wall. It could be your iPad or whatever that is. It could be a phone device. It could be a computer monitor, TV screen, a projector, whatever. And we'll have the concept of asking a question just with our voice, not through keyboard, and say, can you display it over there? And you could just point to wherever it was and it would have the context and the connectivity, etc., and bring up the data set that you want without the chroma, right? It's just like, I need this information. I want to drill down into that concept deck and let's drill through it. And it would be a very fluid type of experience, I think, around how you interact with data if you no longer need a chroma, in pace. And what I mean by that is the UI, UX around what we do when we do navigation, that all goes away potentially.
But what comes with it, though, is that flexibility for you to change your way of working or for you to get to the result quicker. And this is where the really deep thinkers are going to prevail, right now. So the concept of trustworthy AI actually drills into those deep thinkers. Did I really think about what the intended purpose of my application, of my agent, of my co-pilot, bot is? Could I do anything else with it? Did I state that out loud? What those types of things are going to make sure that our information is accurate. And of course, the grounding in good data. It will always be a thing.
Yeah. So, by the way, thank you guys for humoring the arrival of Alexandra back here. She's on her way to bed, quite late for her. But yeah, so I think that we've been talking for a year at least, right? About the emerging, but still very much to be determined form factor or patterns of user interaction that AI will take on. Once we get past our, the comparison that I've made is about the iPhone, right? When the iPhone first came out, people spent several years just trying to cram desktop apps onto a smaller screen. And it was several years on before application designers they really figured out what that form factor was best for and what the appropriate form factor was, right? So
Yeah.
I think that that's part of it. But I also think that, and this will become more important the more that things change, right? The more keys that gets moved, the more important trust becomes, right? So I've been all around the world in the last year, talking with big groups, doing workshops, helping them set in motion their AI data and broader cloud technology strategy. And one of the things that I hear again and again, right, is that people and organizations around the world are asking in one form or another, can we trust artificial intelligence, right? And sometimes what we're talking about is a question of, can we do people trust and can they believe that the results that artificial intelligence produces are accurate, right? Can they trust that the data is of a good quality and that there's integrity to that data? Sometimes it's, can they trust that the model, I'm going to have to come back to this because I'm being asked to kiss a boo-boo. So, soliloquy on pause. I'll leave it with you guys for just a moment here.
Okay, so I want to pick up on something Andrew just said there, because trust is often inherently connected to data and to the data correctness, right? Now, if you take that concept, and this is something it's blowing my mind as a thought experiment. If you look at a medium-sized business, I think the data shows that a medium-sized organization has around 10 million artifacts, right? So we're talking about documents, PowerPoints,
I'm
Excel
shocked it's that
spreadsheets,
few
stuff, right? Yeah. Let's just use 10 million as a for part of our thought experiment. Now, in that, you will have a massive amount of duplication. Someone took that Excel spreadsheet and they copied it a few times. The problem is that by human nature, we make errors as humans. We forget the formula. We made a mistake in the formula. We didn't paste in the correct numbers into the correct columns. In the PowerPoint presentation, we misquoted somebody in the and we're like, oh yeah, well, we might come back and change it. But what happens is that you amplify that across, 500 or 5,000 employees. The data set that we're pointing AI to train on is full of human incremental error at a massive scale across, let's say, those 10 million artifacts. And then we point AI at it as a grounding for whatever we're building with AI. And we go, oh, it hallucinates. Perhaps it's not hallucinating as much as we think. Perhaps it's actually just repeating the error and the problem in the data that is inherently built in. So now take this idea. We take that 10 million, and rather than training our model for your organization on all our organization data, you go, hang on, what is the workload that I want to address? And let's extract the data sets that just address this workload. And let's say we get down to 5,000 artifacts from that, right? So now we've taken the data on a journey. We've got 5,000 artifacts. And then when you drill into that, you get rid of things like the duplicates and you start looking at putting procedures in place to identify error in data. And you might come down to, let's say, 500 artifacts. And that's what you should then be using with a RAG process to build out your workload for the organization. And of course, the accuracy will go through the roof. You're not trying to train your AI on the universe. You're training it on the actual core thing you want your particular AI to do, which will then have a much greater degree of accuracy. Then you've got an ongoing process of making sure that data, that the 500 artifacts, arbitrary number, is being updated and enriched at all times to be accurate and lockstep with where your organization is for that particular workload use case solution.
And those things change as well. Like sorry, because you can come back to it and you're like, wait, I don't care about X anymore as much. I actually care about Y more right now. So I want my model to enrich Y more right now. And it can totally do that. And with the right monitoring and observability in place, like you can provide an exact history of what has happened to your data. Like this can be a massive opportunity for people to not only get trustworthy results into the world, but to also demonstrate their thought process, because humans are not faultless. You know, we are creatures who make a lot of mistakes, and before those mistakes could be obscured because nobody really knew who changed what, and now they're really like out in the open, and that's okay as long as you demonstrate that you've tried to correct your mistake.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, so just like, and I'm sure I've said this on a previous episode, but to reiterate, um, just like Power BI once upon a time, showed, and before Power BI, kind of traditional reporting, right, showed organizations how bad their data was, right? The data had always been bad. The data had always been
Yeah.
wrong. You just couldn't see it, so you didn't know that it was wrong, right? And now that phenomenon is to say that it's magnified, or to say that it's multiplied by a factor of 100, I think is understating the problem, right? AI AI will have an effect of magnifying human error, and that effect will be cumulative, because as AI generates more and more content using error prone human data or error prone human information, future models will be trained on error riddled the error riddled content that previous AI has created. And I think that this is going to be a huge problem that we may in a few years look back on this, and apply the old adage that was used in bankruptcy, right? Like, how do you go bankrupt? Very slowly at first and then all at once, right?
Yeah.
Where this problem mounts and builds over time, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we realize, oh my God, we have multiplied and cascaded the effects of human error over a prolonged period.
Yeah.
That's so true. Like I remember I was working it was at the beginning of my career, and somebody gave me a big job. To be fair, it was a big job. I was making CRM systems for a call center who had like 400 employees. All of those people were working with tools that I have made, and they needed to have like data integration and stuff like that. And everything was based on like an on-prem server that sometimes failed. So, um, you know, I wasn't clever enough, and I don't think that there was a clear procedure of retrying those messages anyway. So we would lose a lot of data. Therefore, every morning there used to be a team who would count the number of calls that were recorded with the number of calls that actually happened, and then they would identify the ones that were not, recorded in the system, and they would do them manually. Can you imagine how many calls they still missed? Like, let's get real. It
Yeah.
was tens of thousands of calls every day, right? And then they would just make up the coding for the rest. That's just it. So an AI module over solutions like that I'm pretty sure still exists today, would really cause for a reality check in these organizations on how important it is to have those, 10 million assets really filtered down to your 500 that you can use.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think that to bring us back to the trustworthy AI topic, and the final thing that I was going to say before I had to go kiss a boo boo was that, um, you know, I think that you also get when when you have this conversation, and when you talk to organizations and to users and to colleagues within these organizations this about what their concerns are, or where their mind is when they think about AI. One of the, it's everything from, can I trust the results that AI is producing, to, can I trust that AI will be safely used, right? And that category of trust ranges from everything from, is AI going to take my job, to, is AI going to grow a
Yeah.
personality and malevolently conquer the world by you turning a society of toasters against us, right? I'm looking at you, Chris Huntingford. I think that the angry robotic toasters was a criticism, but anyway. So I think that when you boil all of this down, the idea of AI trust, of trustworthy AI, is so top of mind for people, even if they are not to a point where they can articulate it, right? There's no brand for trustworthy AI, certainly. So when, I've been rolling this idea for an article around for my newsletter, around in my head, something to the effect of, trustworthy AI is way more than red teaming, right? Because I do think that for wonks and for, folks who are deeply enmeshed in the technology, there's an instinct to say, oh, trustworthy AI is about testing, or trustworthy AI is about the pillars of responsible AI, right? So, things like reliability, safety, privacy, security. But to me, trustworthy AI is about whether or not AI can be trusted at scale across an organization or across a society. So my working definition, and I'm going to read this, is that trustworthy AI is about building a digital ecosystem that is strategic, responsible, safe, reliable, and scalable. So I think that in the months ahead, we need to really expand the idea of what trustworthy AI actually is, far, far beyond the idea that trustworthy AI is about buying down risk, or being compliant, or being being in line with regulatory concerns, or with legal strictures. I think that it's a very wide world that goes far, far beyond that.
I find it interesting. Last year, Anna and I did an episode on trust, right? Trust between
I loved that
partners
episode.
and Microsoft, and
Yeah.
and one of the things that I think about, because I get questions on, is what's the role of people in the future, right? What is inherently human? And I think even this concept of trust is going to become a much more looked at, and not how do you display trust, but how are you trustworthy as an individual, as a person, as a contributor inside your organization. It's not about how you portray that you're trustworthy. It's about, are you trustworthy? And I think that, there's the kind of three traits that I see and I just find it interesting. And we look at it as trustworthy AI, but it really is an extension of our humanity and the trustworthy nature of what we should be. Two other skills that I see is going to be critically important for us moving forward to develop as people. One is critical thinking, like at a level we've never done before. I think we're going to need to get really good, because for us to look at the outputs that come from AI and from other people, we're going to have to be much more able to really, whether it's a human gut check, what is it? Is this legit? Like, I think we need to, because in the world of AI, it's going to be easier than ever to manipulate that. And I think that humans are really need to develop it. And then the other one is creativity. I think we're going into a world where we're going to have a tool set which will allow us to paint anything we want on the canvas. And therefore, it's going to really be on us to go, what is the art of what we could do here? How extensive, expansive, what are the possibilities? Because it's really going to come down to our ability to, work with AI to really create the future.
There is something I wrote almost 2 years ago now, and if I can find this.
Yeah, before you find that, I totally am there with you, Mark, and I feel like there's just like the amount of information you see and how much critical thinking you can apply to it will be really, really important. Like, for example, I can tell you I've just posted this little picture on our chat that says privacy report. In the last 7 days, my browser has prevented 22 trackers from profiling me. So I'm wondering how many trackers it didn't stop from profiling me, you know? So yeah, the moment you receive, you're right, the moment you receive that information, how much is it because I've been profiled and somebody wants to influence me? And in critical thinking and all of that creativity is really hard work. So that's why when people, I do feel that when people are saying, oh, AI is going to take my job, it's because they see you can you can use a tool to create a little website, for example, and it's not half bad. Like, it's a good starting point. So that's how people start to believe that AI is going to take their job, because we really have to do that hard work of thinking deeply.
Did you know that 6 out of 10 roles that and I'm talking about, this is just a segment that we operate within in consulting, software development, that type of thing. 6 out of 10 roles didn't even exist in the 1940s that we have today, that are high-paying, high-yield roles. I think we're going to go
I'm surprised it's not higher.
Yeah. Well,
it's
because
only 6.
Why it's that is because there's been traditional roles, like, let's say, waitressing in a restaurant. There's the hospitality industries. There's accommodation. Or
you could be waitering.
Yeah. All still exist. And so in my mind, I was actually processing, is it waiter? Is that, waitress? Like, I was like trying to.
I think it's serving, Mark.
Yeah, serve stuff in America. That's an American way of looking at it. I like it.
We're an evolved culture. What can I say?
So what I'm saying is that there's this whole area of, I think, new jobs that are going to come out.
Yeah.
And that, like, when I went to school, I never trained for what I do now, right? Didn't exist even what I do now. And I think that we're going to go once again into this whole era of a whole new range of jobs becoming available. And as long as we, which, humans are very good at, is the ability to adapt and change and evolve with what's new, I don't think there should be any fear that we're going to do ourselves out of things to do. I think that's and that's where it comes back to creativity. I think there will be, I can't wait to see what I'm doing in 5 years. I'm excited about it.
I just hope that I live long enough to get to see someone have the job of starship captain. But I think I've got a few hundred years for that.
That's if you're coming from a paradigm of.
I'm coming from a paradigm of Star Trek, Mark.
Yeah. But like, that's only if you're coming from a paradigm that within the next 30 years, they're not going to resolve every medical issue that we have, and therefore give us the ability to extend well beyond 100 years of life, or 150, but in a very healthy state, not in a decrepit state.
But that's such a reality, Mark. Like, we just read some documentation, I think today, on trustworthy AI and why it's so important, because there's so much AI solving, types of cancer quicker.
Yes.
And figuring out solutions for various allergies and for critical medical conditions. So governments are starting to see that you cannot stop AI. So you need to make it trustworthy, because this is what's going to enable us to live past 100, unless we get hit by a car, of course.
Yeah. The bus effect still applies, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or will it? Who knows how advanced medicine's going to get? Can it remolecularize ourselves? Now we are in Star Trek land.
Yeah.
Anna just touched on something, though, that I think is going to be an interesting thing to watch here over the next little while, and that is the government or the responses of governments around the world and how governments around the world deal with AI in their own territory, in their own jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And we're already seeing a pretty mixed set of responses, right? So to give you an example, I don't hold me to this. It could be 33 days, but something within the same month, right? The EU AI Act, which is going to impose some significant responsible AI responsibilities on companies. That's going to come online.
Enforceable in August this year. Enforceable in August.
Okay. So not the same month, but the final version of it, I think, is due in about a month's time, something like that. And it becomes enforceable later. It becomes enforceable later this year. At the same time, Donald Trump, the soon to be, probably by the time this episode is released, the U.S. president, of course, will be, has announced that he will be appointing as his AI and crypto czar a Silicon Valley investor whose goal it is to deregulate AI so that American companies can innovate faster.
Yeah.
So, we'll see exactly how this goes. And we'll also see.
You're talking about Sachs, right?
I don't recall the fellow's name.
Yeah, Sachs. He actually was one of the creators of Yammer back in the day. That's one of his big.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sold to Microsoft. I mean, he's had a lot of investments and stuff, but you're talking about Sachs.
Yeah.
I don't know his first name.
I didn't. David maybe rings a bell, but anyway, don't hold us to that. I just don't recall the fellow's name. But the speculation and my hunch here is that we may very well see kind of a multi-lane highway for AI emerging, right? Where we'll just take America and Europe, where AI is a lot safer in Europe, but the pace of innovation is a lot slower. And then in America, AI is actually a lot more dangerous, but the pace of innovation is a lot faster. And I think that navigating that regulatory environment, particularly given some of the extraterritorial provisions of the EU AI Act, but also given the fact that, one, you've got a lot of global companies. I mean, you don't have to be big to be a global company, right? Like Cloud Lighthouse serves clients in 11 countries, right? So you've got a lot of companies that are in the mix here that are global and are going to be subject to a wildly different and an extraordinarily difficult to navigate, especially in the early days, regulatory landscape. You think that GDPR was a challenge? You ain't seen nothing yet. That's going to be really interesting to see unfold.
And with that, we'll end today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back regularly from this point forward. We're looking forward to an exciting year. If you've got suggestions or things that you'd like us to discuss on the show, make sure you reach out. If you go to the Microsoft Innovation podcast.com, new URL, you will see in the bottom right-hand corner, there is a microphone, and that allows you to send us a voicemail. If you click on that, it'll approve your browser to, use the microphone. You can record a voicemail. We can then play that on air as a future episode and allow you to participate, perhaps ask your question yourself, and be on a show in the future. With that, good luck, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks all.
Bye, guys.